Welcome to the Purpose-Based Retirement with certified financial planner Casey Weade. Casey is the president of Howard Bailey Financial.
Whatever risk you face during your retirement years, we've got a plan.
A published author and radio host.
It's not how much we make during the good times, it's how much we keep during those really bad times.
His advocacy for retirees and pre-retirees has made him a sought-after speaker and trusted financial leader.
And putting a real plan together.
This is the Purpose-Based Retirement.
Thanks for tuning in again. I am Lee Kelso here today with Casey Weade, certified financial planner and the president of Howard Bailey Financial. On our program today, we're going to take a look at what things you should be thinking about if you're in your 50s or your 60s, or maybe then when you're in retirement. What are some things that ought to be top of mind as it comes to financial planning? We'll cover those topics for you. Also, our viewer question today: what should someone do with an old life insurance policy that's been laying around for quite a while? Do you have one you're worried about? Casey will share his thoughts on that. And then a little bit later on, the magic doubling dollar and what that can teach us about tax deferment and the rules to follow there. A lot to cover today, so let's get started. We're going to begin with the stages of retirement planning. So if you've got gray hair as much as I do, this is really top of mind. You're thinking about it. But what if I'm in my 50s? What should I be thinking about?
Right. Well, we should be thinking about this at all times. I mean, I've got a couple gray hairs. I'm starting to think about it. You may not be able to see them, but they're there. Yeah. We have to start thinking at this stage in the game. So you're 15 years out from retirement. What's the focus? Well, the focus is going to be, first and foremost, you have to realize that 15 years may seem like a long time, but it's going to go very fast. It's going to fly by, just like it was when you had your first kid and then all of a sudden they're teenagers. You've got to think about the same thing over the next 15 years, is that those years are just going to fly by. And something we have to make sure we're starting to avoid here is we need to make sure that we avoid taking on too much risk. And it may seem like you've got an unlimited period of time before you step into retirement, but remember, there's been periods of time in the market where the markets went through 15-year periods and 25-year periods of no returns. And so what would zero returns do to your portfolio over the next 15 years? It could be very damaging. It could result in you not actually reaching retirement. So one of the things we have to do is we sort of work backwards. What are your expenses? What are your income? What are your income sources going to be as you get to retirement? Focusing on your income sources, beginning to do some risk reduction, and some of that risk reduction comes with real estate, comes with your debt, right? Maybe your credit card debt even. We need to start reducing and attacking some of that debt, do the debt snowball, get yourself to a point that when you step into retirement, we don't have a whole lot of extra expenses that could have been eliminated had we just got started on those things 15 years prior. You might want to start doing some tax planning at this point too, because you have an opportunity to maybe start building up a tax-free opportunity for you, that once you step into retirement, you've got some free and clear dollars to use to supplement some of your tax-deferred dollars.
All right, so let's jump forward a little bit. You're like me, you're 60-ish. That's as far as I'm going to take it. What do I need to be thinking about?
Well, now you're getting 10 years out. So when I say that we need to start reducing risk, I'm saying we need to start doing that just a little bit more, right? We're even closer to retirement. You're only 10 years out from retirement. And you also need to start focusing on Social Security. Let's go ahead and pull those statements, put together a Social Security strategy so we can refine what that income is going to look like as you step into retirement, analyze all those income sources that you're going to have, your investment income, your rental income, maybe from real estate, and take a look. Maybe you have a pension. What are all those incomes? And then let's define what that income gap is so that we can really attack putting together what we need to happen in order to create the income we're going to need at that point. So we're refining the income plan and making sure we know exactly what we need and what we're going to have to do to get from point A to point B. So we've done some risk reduction, we've done some Social Security planning at the same time, and now you're probably in that 55 to 60 range at this point. And when you get to that point, it's time to also start planning for your health care expenses. So we're going to start putting together not just your basic health care expenses, we have to do some planning around long-term care expenses at the same time, because this is when it can get very expensive. Expensive is at that 59, 60-year-old mark, we start to see the cost of long-term care coverage begin to skyrocket. And at the cost today of being in a facility, and a skilled nursing facility at $7,000 a month, month and it's increasing at 4% per year, we could easily see that destroy your retirement. And many times what we find is we can put together a long-term care strategy at this point in your life that says this is your only risk. Now we've taken care of everything else and we've taken that off the table so you can go through the next 10 years and know that as soon as that retirement date comes, you're ready, you're good.
I like the sound of that a lot. So let's assume now that I've successfully guided myself into retirement and I'm a few years into retirement. I've got things under control, but now I want to look ahead. What do I need to be thinking about? Yeah. What's next?
Exactly. So we're 5 years out, right? So we're 5 years out from retirement, and we've been doing a little risk reduction over the previous 15 years. Started about 15 years ago, then 10 years prior to that, we reduced risk a little bit more. And now, rather than just reducing the risk of your portfolio, it's probably time to start putting together your own little pension. And so we want to go ahead and create some guarantees in that portfolio, because over the next 5 years, we talk about the retirement red zone. You're deep into the red zone now. The mistakes that are made here could really jeopardize your retirement. And one of the biggest things we can focus on is solidifying that income, creating a guaranteed income stream that you simply can't outlive. And while we're doing that, we need to finalize your retirement budget. So at this time, you should start living on the budget that you plan to live on as you step into retirement. Don't wait until the day you retire and say, well, I'm going to live on $5,000 a month. And then you find out that you're actually spending $10,000 a month. And that may sound crazy, but I promise you, I've seen it before. Start living on that budget that you're going to live on in retirement, because it's going to be a fixed income. You can't go work overtime. You can't get another bonus. You can't sell another product to get another commission. We have to make sure that you have the income that you're going to need to live on, and you start living on it today so that we have all of our T's crossed, all our I's dotted.
Well, that makes a lot of sense. So the day I'm going to retire finally comes. What's my checklist? What do I need to have nailed down?
Well, I think the checklist should really be made up of one document, right? And that should be a written financial plan. You've got a written financial plan at this point that says, this is exactly what I'm going to use all of my retirement assets, all the savings that I've created over my lifetime. This is what I'm going to use it for. This is my emergency fund. This is for supplemental income needs. If we're going to go on vacation, here's our paychecks. Here's our playchecks. We've guaranteed the income stream we can't live without. We've set aside our emergency fund. We've taken care of long-term care. We've set aside funds to take care of inflation needs in the future. We've really nailed down the whole plan from point A to point B. We've got everything covered, and it's in writing. It's not something that we just drew on a whiteboard. It's not on some spreadsheet. It's in writing, and we've got the plan that we know we can step into retirement confidently. I don't know how we couldn't, if we don't have a written plan, how could you step into retirement and know that everything's going to be okay?
Yeah, you're guessing, you're hoping, right? So what about 10 years or so after I've retired? I'm now, let's say, 75 years old. What should I be thinking about?
Now we can really start to do some of that legacy planning and maybe even some advanced tax planning, especially if we're charitably minded. Now's the time to do that. Prior to that period of time, it's next to impossible for us to really say, well, this is money that I'm never going to need. But after we get through a few years of retirement, 5, 10 years into retirement, now it becomes a lot easier to let go of some of those things and say, I've got all the income I need. I've got all the assets that I'm going to need. And this bucket over here, I'm never going to spend. Let's go ahead and carve that out and set it aside so we can maximize the legacy that we're going to leave behind. And your goal may not be to maximize the legacy, but I know that your goal is not to maximize the legacy that we're leaving to Uncle Sam, right?
Right.
And so that's one of the things. We want to start doing some major tax planning, maybe even doing some RMD planning, required minimum distribution planning at the same time, because we're probably about at that time we're going to be forced to start taking distributions from our IRAs. And this is where we do that major tax planning that could save you and your family hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions of dollars.
So, the common sense, the step through all of this is really coming from the voice of experience. I know I want to have that on my side. I hope you will too, and that's why I hope you're one of the people who will take the time right now to give us a call at 482-9559. You want to be one of the next 10 people to call us right now. And Casey and his team will offer you a complimentary financial review of your entire financial and retirement plan. It's an opportunity for you to learn about your money, how it can work for you, so you can make the best decision for yourself moving forward. So for the next 10 callers, Casey and the team are willing to make time on their calendar to sit down and visit with you and give you your very own purpose-based retirement. We're taking your questions when we come back.
When you have confidence in your retirement future, you can live the life you've always imagined. Because of planning, you now have time to reflect on the wonderful memories of your life. You and your spouse finally have the luxury of leisure time together. To spend fun times with your grandkids, sharing the joy of their excitement about life. Smiling at the thought of quality time with your children and of picking up the check. At last, you have time to breathe and rekindle the love of your life. Why? Because you imagined what could be. You planned for retirement. So today, you own your future.
You need a plan for retirement to create the lifestyle you've always dreamed of. The first step is to tune into the Purpose-Based Retirement Radio Hour with your hosts, Casey Weade and Marshall Johnson, every Saturday morning at 11 and Sunday afternoon at 1 on 1190 WOWO and 107.5 FM.
So during the week, many people email Casey with questions. We pick out a few of those and invite those viewers to the program. That's what we've done with Tim and Diane from right here in Fort Wayne. What's your question, guys?
Yeah, we get a great match on our 401k at about 10% when we put in just 2% of our earnings.
Wow.
All I've ever done is 2%, but now the kids are gone and out of the house. We have more room to save. We'd like to save an additional $25,000 per year. Should I just increase my 401k contributions, or is there a better option?
Boy, Tim, that's a fantastic match, first of all, so I'm glad you're taking full advantage of that. That's a no-brainer. If anybody out there is getting a match and not taking advantage of it, you're missing out on a lot of free money. So make sure you're getting out there, getting that free money, because that's a 100% return on your investment in many cases. If you're getting a match like this, it's much better than that. So fantastic job going ahead and getting that match. Now the kids are out of the house, so we have the ability to save some additional dollars, and you could put more money in your 401k, I would guess. You've got some maximums in there that are $18,000 up to $24,000 in order to max out, and if you're over the age of 50. And so we have a great opportunity. You could put more money into your 401k. However, that's going to greatly restrict your ability to not just access the funds, but to also manage the funds. You're going to be restricted to the funds. Most likely, you have a list of different mutual funds that you can pick from. So you're going to have high-cost mutual funds in all likelihood, and you're going to be paying higher fees and expenses and have less flexibility than you did if you put those funds elsewhere. You may be able to contribute to a traditional IRA, but one of the things you might want to start thinking about is creating some tax-free retirement. If you don't already have some tax-free dollars set aside, that gives you very little flexibility as you step into retirement. So what about Roth contributions? Do you have the ability to make Roth IRA contributions? Depending on your income limits, you may be able to set aside some funds in Roth IRAs. And I had a couple that I did this with not too long ago where we had around $25,000. So with $25,000, we have the ability that you can set aside around $12,000. About half of that you can set aside into Roth IRAs. And that's the first step. So first we're funding our retirement accounts. And now you've ran out of places to go set some of those dollars for tax-free opportunities. After you've funded your Roth IRA, we've still got maybe $10,000, $15,000 it sounds like we could set aside. So have we funded our emergency fund? Let's make sure we have that taken care of. If we have all those things covered, you may want to start thinking about setting some funds aside in an account. There's some life insurance policies out there we can structure to keep the death benefit very low, so your average cost of insurance is around the cost of a mutual fund at about 1.5%. You'll probably average around 4.4 to 6% a year in an account like that. and you've got a death benefit that, if it's structured correctly, you could use for long-term care funding. So now you've got a vehicle that gives you some flexibility, something you may never touch because you probably already have your retirement funded, but if you do need it, there's tax-free income that can be taken out of it. If you never need it for income, then it passes on to your heirs in the form of a death benefit, but if you need long-term care, you can accelerate that death benefit and use it to maybe supplement a traditional long-term care insurance policy. So some out-of-the-box ideas for you to keep in mind. I just encourage you to evaluate all of your options before you settle on one, and don't rule out anything.
Thanks, Tim. Thanks for your question. Let's get down to Decatur and Frank. You've got an old insurance policy, huh?
I have an old life insurance policy with a death benefit of $500,000, the cash value of $30,000, and I pay a premium of $2,000 per year. The illustration shows it will go up in smoke in less than 10 years. I'm 60 years old, uninsurable, and I have no need for the insurance. I don't want to throw away my money. Should I just cash it out?
Oh, well, thanks for your question, Frank. And that's one that a lot of people have, especially if you bought life insurance back in the 70s, 80s, or 90s even, where there were life insurance projections based on current interest rates that were 10 to 20%. And some of the cases, just outrageous interest rate projections. You were probably supposed to have a couple $100,000 you could use for retirement in that fund, but they were projecting those rates at way too high numbers. Now you find yourself in a predicament where either you fund more money into the policy to make sure that you actually get something back from it, or you have some other options. So one, you cash it out, but I would have you think about a couple of other things. One, you might want to lower the death benefit if possible. Many carriers will allow you to lower that death benefit maybe from $500,000 to say $100,000 or $200,000. At least all those premiums that you paid in there, your family can get back someday in the form of a tax-free death benefit. You may be able to take it all the way down to say even $75,000 and make sure that you never have to pay a premium into the thing ever again if income is a little tight. But there's something that my family did that's a little bit different. So I have, my mom had a policy, and the policy she had around $100,000 death benefit. There was around $7,500 in cash value, and she was paying a premium much like you are, lower, but she was paying an ongoing premium, and she didn't need the life insurance. And I saw a great opportunity. Here's the opportunity to get a secondary tax-free retirement savings. Now, this may sound a little morbid, but it's a good opportunity for your children if they have the extra savings capacity, if they have the extra income. Take, for instance, what if we called a company and got a projection from them that said that you need to pay in $5,000 a year and that life insurance policy is going to last the rest of your life. You don't want to pay the $5,000. You'd much rather have the $30,000 in cash. So let's present it to the kids. You pay me $30,000, and then I'll let you have this life insurance policy, and you can pay in $5,000 a year for the rest of your lives and get a $500,000 payout someday. A heck of a good Roth IRA for the kids. Mm-hmm. Now, if it's over 20 years, how much did they pay in? They paid $100,000 in plus the 30, so they paid $130,000 in and got a $500,000 tax-free death benefit. This could be a great opportunity for tax-free savings for your children. I've done it with both of my parents, and it's been a thing that's helped them out at this time in their lives as they've stepped into retirement, wanting a little additional cash flow, and it's given me a great retirement savings vehicle at the same time. So some other out-of-the-box ideas for you.
Yeah, interesting strategy there. Let's go to Huntington and Patricia. Inflation's on your mind, huh?
I fear we are going to see a hyperinflationary environment in the near future as we see the ramifications of the debt load of our federal government being unloaded in our economy. What do you see as the best defense against the risk for our retirement years?
Well, I think the best defense for you, Patricia, is to have, first of all, a comprehensive strategy that controls what you can first. I understand your concerns. I think your concerns are valid, and it's just making sure that we control what we can, because we can't control what happens in Washington. We can't control what happens in inflation. So first, let's control those things that solidify your retirement, and that's going to be setting aside your emergency money, taking care of your income strategy, taking care of your health care strategy, and then we'll play some defense. against things like this. And I don't think it's appropriate for you to go out, and I'm not going to tell you to put everything you own in gold. Now, it's okay if you want to hold some precious metals, but a more appropriate strategy is to have a diversified portfolio that's for that specific purpose, which would be a hyperinflationary environment. You know, stocks haven't always increased during inflationary environments. Now, typically we see dividend equities have been one of the best historical inflation hedges, but go back to the 70s and 80s. We saw a period of time of 17 years when we had hyperinflation and the market did not go up. It was flat for 17 years. But there were some areas you could go to protect yourself, and that would be investing in companies that are mining for precious metals, those companies that are drilling for oil, that are transporting natural gas. You know, you can create a portfolio that's generating ongoing income. It's creating dividends. Gold's not going to create a dividend for you. It's not going to create any income. It's just going to be a volatile asset class. It's okay to hold some of it, but let's think about the worst case scenario. If we have a doomsday scenario, which would be the U.S. currency completely being wiped off the map, then it's much more appropriate that you've got your guns and your land and you know how to grow your food, because that's what really people are going to want. Your money's not going to be worth a whole lot. So let's play a little defense against those things, and we can do a little prepping on the side if we want.
In a safe way, right. Thanks to all our callers, and we have a special offer for the next 10 people who call us right now. We're going to give you a complimentary financial review of your entire financial and retirement plan. It's an opportunity to get an education about your money so that you can make really the wisest decisions possible for yourself and your entire family as you roll forward in life. So for the next 10 callers, Casey and the team will sit down, make time on their calendar, visit with you, and give you your very own purpose-based retirement. Here's our question of the day. Which of these accounts do not allow for tax deferral? Is it IRAs, brokerage accounts, the Roth IRA, or life insurance? Maybe 401ks. The answer when we come back.
You may have a purpose for your retirement, but have you repurposed your assets to help you achieve your dreams?
At Howard Bailey Financial, we believe in the purpose-based retirement. We help you determine a clear plan of action to get you to your goal. We can help you review all of the variables, find and understand your options, and help you come up with a strategy that gets you closer to your purpose. Let Howard Bailey help you achieve the retirement you deserve.
You need a plan for retirement to create the lifestyle you've always dreamed of. The first step is to tune into the Purpose-Based Retirement Radio Hour with your hosts, Casey Weade and Marshall Johnson, every Saturday morning at 11 and Sunday afternoon at 1 on 1190 WOWO and 107.5 FM.
We left you to ponder the question of the day. Which of these types of accounts do not allow for tax deferral? Casey, which one of those is correct?
Well, the answer is actually B, brokerage accounts. All those other accounts are traditional IRAs or 401ks or Roth IRAs. They allow us tax advantaged growth, right? So we're able to preserve some of the returns that we're getting every year because we're not paying taxes on them. Your brokerage accounts, on the other hand, now they may allow tax deferral of a stock, for instance. If you were to buy a stock and hold on to it, you'll pay long-term capital gains on it if you hold it for over a year, but the dividends that you've been receiving during that period of time, if you're receiving them, have not been tax deferred. All those other vehicles, from life insurance to Roth IRAs, 401ks to IRAs, those are all vehicles of which we can get some tax advantaged growth out of. And I want to illustrate the real benefits of tax advantaged growth, and we're going to do that using something I like to call the magical doubling dollar. And I think, Lee, we all would like to have a magical doubling dollar. Isn't that right?
I'd love to have a magic doubling dollar, you bet.
So what's that look like over 20 years? So over 20 years, let's say we start with $1. Every year, we're going to double that dollar. So $1 turns into $2, turns into $4, turns into $8. At the end of 20 years, we have over $1 million in that account. $1,048,576 that just $1 has accumulated to. And we might have taken that $1 for granted initially, but now look at what it turned into. Now, what if, on the other hand, we had to pay taxes on our gains every single year? So now we've got to pay taxes. Let's say you're in the 25% marginal tax bracket, and you're probably in a mutual fund portfolio that's generating a lot of ongoing gains. There's a lot of turnover, and so that $1 is turning into $2, and then you have to pay taxes at 25%. So let's take that $1. Let's turn it into $2. Then we have $1 that we have to pay taxes on at 25%. So we end up with, after that period of time, with $1.75. Then that $1.75, we double that to $3.50, but we have to pay 25% in taxes on that $1.75. Now we have $3.06 at the end of 20 years. Believe it or not, we don't have $1 million. We don't have anything close to $1 million. Now we only have $72,570.64. Now we paid our taxes every year, and sometimes people would argue, I'd rather pay my taxes every single year than put it in an IRA because they're just going to get me on the back end. Well, what's going on with your traditional IRA, with your 401k, is you're getting something called triple compounding. Your principal is earning interest, your interest is earning interest, and the taxes you would have had to pay every other year if it was in a brokerage account, for instance, are also earning interest. So which would you rather have? At the end of 20 years, would you rather have paid your taxes every year and had $72,000 that's now tax-free and clear? Or would you rather have put those dollars in a traditional IRA or a 401k or a life insurance policy or a Roth and allow those things to grow to $1,048,576 and be taxable? So that's your IRAs, your 401ks. So those things have grown tax deferred, and now maybe you have to pay $400,000 in taxes because you're in one of the highest marginal tax brackets. You're still netting $600,000 versus $70,000 had you paid your taxes every single year. So Lee, what do you want?
That's got to be a trick question, right? I mean, I'd take the million, right?
Sure.
So are you telling me then that a Roth is the place to be at all times? That's kind of the story, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I don't think, I mean, a traditional IRA wouldn't necessarily be the place to be, right? But it might be, or a Roth IRA might be the place to be for that matter. It just depends on your current tax bracket. So if we take your current tax bracket, let's say that you're in a 25% bracket today and you're projected to be in a 15% bracket, probably even more appropriate would be to say, I'm in the 39.6% bracket or the 33% bracket, and when I retire, I know I'm going to be in a lower bracket. I'm going to be in the 15. I'm going to be in the 10, maybe the 25. Well, if that's the case, then you should be deferring that income. You'd be better off in a traditional IRA. On the other hand, if you're in a lower bracket today than you're going to be in the future, then you're better off putting it into a Roth. I would also argue if you're in the same bracket today that you're going to be in retirement or projected to be in, you should also be doing Roth conversions or Roth contributions every single year. Why? Well, even if taxes don't change, you're going to be better off because now you may avoid paying many of the taxes you might have had to pay on your Social Security because you have tax-free income. That reduces your Social Security taxable income as well.
So if I am maxing out all my accounts as I have them today, what strategies can I employ?
Well, there are things that you can do if you're maxing out your retirement accounts. And first and foremost, let's sit down with an expert that can tell you, are you really maxing out your retirement accounts? So let's analyze, are we taking advantage of catch-up contributions in your 401ks, your IRAs, or maybe you're contributing to your 401k, but we're not also contributing to, say, a Roth IRA, and within certain income limits, we may be able to accomplish that at the same time. Maybe you have the ability to set up a SEP IRA or a simple IRA. There's a lot of different things that you can do that I almost always find the opportunity in the meetings we have with the people we're meeting with to not just create some more tax deferral or tax-free growth opportunities, but to look completely outside the realm of traditional retirement accounts and find some opportunity as well.
And I think that's the real value of working with a professional, and that's why I hope you'll be one of the next 10 people who call us right now, because we're offering a complimentary financial review of your entire financial and retirement plan. It's an opportunity to get an education about your money so that you can make the very best decisions possible for yourself moving forward. So for the next 10 people, the next 10 callers, Casey and the team will sit down with you, go over exactly what your needs and demands are, and create your very own purpose-based retirement. So we hope you'll call 482-9559 right now.